Hey everyone, I have a quick update on the Floatwheel. I saw Jeff McCosker's awesome little video about duty cycle and safety, so I just wanted to show you guys how I extended that to the LCM of the Floatwheel. Basically, you have a status bar of 10 light bars, and I'm basically what I did is I added essentially Badger Sense to it so that you have duty cycle display on the board. As you go and approach 100%, it goes from green at 50 to yellow at 70, orange at 80, and then red at 90 or 85 and 90. And that shows you essentially where you are on your duty cycle. Now, I'm not Jeff, so I had to cheat to make this video. I basically created a float package that reported double the duty cycle so that when I'm at 50, it reports 100. That way I could make this video without going 30 miles an hour and drinking coffee. But yeah, so that's essentially that one feature. Now, since I already had to open up the board and mess around with the LCM and reflash that firmware, let's turn on Flywheel. Come on. There we go. See those lights? So the board is now aware of the state of... Whoa! All right. So that's another thing. Also, if we turn the board off and we turn it on, we get this cool little boot animation. And I removed some of the other annoying issues, like it was the LCM bar was all weird about when it would flash up and not, super confusing. Now, basically, if you're less than a half a mile an hour, it shows you your sensors, but as soon as you're over that, it doesn't mess around anymore showing anything. The last thing that annoyed me is the lights. I don't really like lights at all, but at night it can be useful. So now by default the lights, shit. So now, as you can see, by default the lights are off, but I can turn them on. Now, it doesn't quite work yet. Are they on now? They should be on now. But that code is so messy, and I don't really fully understand still how it works. But I think I got it to the point where I can turn the lights on and off. I also, if I press and hold this button, I can change the brightness of the lights. So that essentially lets you change that. If you don't like the whole duty cycle LED thing, you can turn that off as well. But yeah, so this basically is, to me, the minimum that I needed to fix what was wrong with the LCM code. Since I'm already talking about new features, I just wanted to highlight this remote tilt feature in Float Control. Now you can use that to change the angle of your board on the fly, just like the remote. It is almost as fast as a real remote. I don't know if I would use it for racing or a pump track, but for normal riding it's perfectly fine. It seems pretty responsive to me. You can change whether you have it vertical or horizontal by just tapping this here. And yeah, so if I want to now lower my... Whoa, fuck! Yeah, I'm not used to riding with a remote, but it works and does the job. You can also do it from the watch, but the watch really is delayed. So you got to be careful. You can do it basically to adjust the angle. If you see an upcoming steep bump that you know you're going to scrape your nose on, you can use the watch to lift your nose, or the same for a steep drop. You can lower your tail, but there is a 1 second delay or something. It's not even a predictable delay. So Definitely do not try using your watch in a pump track or a skate park. But for normal riding and the occasional correction when you see an obstacle coming up, it totally works. And that way you don't even have to take your phone out to get that feature. Also, I never really thanked Tony for my free board. This thing is awesome. He really didn't have to send me one. I didn't really expect that I would get a free board, but it was so nice to receive a board that I just had to put together in 20 minutes, and it was perfectly rideable. It's an amazing board for, if you consider the price. I mean, the board delivers more than what you get from a GT, way more. And yeah, it has some little issues here and there, but we've seen that Tony is super good about addressing those, and I bet in a few months down the road, all of these issues will be fixed. So yeah, thank you, Tony. I'm really enjoying your board, and keep up the good work. One other detail I should mention is that now you have the ability to power on your board while it's charging. So if you want to see what your voltage is, you can do that. So, how do you install it yourself? It is not super easy. It requires some extra tools, but I'm going to show you how to do it. You need to take your foot pad off and your bumper, and then you remove the 8 screws on the bottom and then the 4 here. Just be really careful how you do it. I like doing it like this on the side so that this doesn't fall off and that you don't rip off the foot pad connector. I've heard of plenty instances where plate just fell off and then the connector here came undone, and that is pretty much impossible to fix. If you're planning on doing multiple of these updates, I've put hot glue around my connector. Just be really careful that when you're applying hot glue that nothing gets into the connector or you're screwed. So I've removed the 2 JST connectors, and now we just need to access the debug pins. The debug pins are these 4 next to the Hall sensor connector. So we need to connect our ST-Link to those pins and connect it to the PC. So here's the connector that I've made. This here is the device that you need to buy. It's called an ST-Link V2. Most of them should work. I have 2 of the ones from High Let Go. And you have these DuPont connectors. And here I created an adapter basically using duct tape. So you just want to make sure that the labels match up. The red one, I used a red wire for the plus, the VCC. And so you want to make sure that plus gets connected to VCC. And that's basically what you're looking for. So there we go, it's in. And then I kind of wedge this Hall sensor wire behind it. That puts enough pressure on it that the connection is solid. Now I plug it into the PC. Do not power on your board. When you plug in the USB, it will provide its own power. So the green LEDs that you can see lighting up back there, even the power button lights up, but that is because it gets power from your PC. So now we gotta just program it. So now, to program it, you have to have the software, and I'm sure we're going to make it easier at some point. There will just be a zip file with everything you need. But for now, you have to basically get this LCM project, and in there will be a flash.bat. This flash.bat file is basically what does it all for you. So I'm going to run it. This is what it looks like. And for that, you have to install Python and pyocd. Don't ask me how to do that. I'm not going to cover that here. So for now, you're going to have to figure out how to do that. But once we have an easier process in place, then I can also cover end-to-end how you do it basically on a brand new PC. So this takes less than 60 seconds to upload the firmware, and when it's done, you're good to go. You can put it back together. So now I can take out the USB cable, put it to the side carefully. You got to be careful. There is power in here, so you don't want anything metal to fall into that compartment. And then we'll take out the debug connector, and that is it. We're done. Now we can put it back together.